back to another episode of Beyond the Stable. Today I have a bit of a different guest, which I'm actually really, really excited about. I've not really spoken to anyone, I guess, within like your niche in the industry, if we want to call it that. So I think it'll be really interesting. If you don't know who I am the founder of Atlantic Harmony, and I'm joined by Martha Lily Photography. And I guess my favourite part of my role is actually like going to all the photo shoots and stuff. Like that's the bit I love the most, like all the creative side. So I'm actually really, really excited to speak to you and like, I guess, see like into your world a bit, like, and hear about the highs and the lows of your job.
Yeah.
And I was just saying to you before off camera as well that I'd seen your work absolutely everywhere, and I'd heard of your name because you always get like tagged and like you're like little, is it like a watermark? It's on like quite a lot of the photos. So I've seen that everywhere. And then it wasn't till I met Wizzy Welsh that I'd actually put like a face to a name and started speaking to Hannah and stuff. And then I was like, oh my gosh, this is the girl I've been seeing everywhere. So yeah, I'm really excited to also get to know you like on a bit more of like a personal level as well, and like hear about your life out with your career.
Yeah.
But we'll start with the career stuff. So do you want to just tell me like how you got into photography?
Yeah. So I started like my actual business at 15. I was very young. But even before then, like I've got videos of me as a toddler with a camera, and Mum's like, Martha, is your camera in the hedge? I'm like, yeah. And funnily enough, I did actually leave a camera at a shoot once. I was so burnt out, and I put it there and I was like, you shouldn't do that. I had like 2 at the time. So I kind of just started photographing people on like my yard when I was on a livery yard. And then eventually you're just like, oh, maybe I should like start charging for this.
Yeah.
And like I did like art and stuff at school and that kind of thing. So I was still in school. And then like, yeah, just photograph people. And I started like, I was £30 for a shoot. And I was like, I'm really fast. Like it's only 40 minutes. But I think that was like an anxiety thing because I was like dealing with people and like, I was just like, and like I wouldn't pose people, like they would literally just do the one classic stood by the horse in different places, maybe in a different outfit. But that's kind of where the growth comes, and like your age obviously as well. Like obviously my mum would drive me back then. Gosh,
15 is so young.
Yeah.
How have you always been like business minded and stuff then?
So I definitely have my mum to thank. So as you can see, you've walked through it. Mum's got a salon, and I always saw like how happy she was with her business, and like her clients were so nice, and they were like friends, and like if she needed to move for us or whatever, like she'd just message and be like, is there any chance that you can swap to later or whatever? And I just saw how flexible it was. And I literally always, like I said, I've done art and stuff, and I'm not very talented at drawing. I enjoy it, but I'm not very good at it. But I've always loved like creativity and that kind of thing. And like say, I've always kind of had like a little camera, and then eventually got like a DSLR, which is like your more pro camera, at around 15. I think I got one for Christmas or something. Maybe even younger. And then like, do you remember like Bieber and that kind of thing? So we used to do like creative photos like that. And then I think I don't actually remember when I naturally started charging, but I just enjoyed it that much that I think people asked me, like, you know, like, oh, can you do some photos of my pony? And then they probably are like, what do you charge? And I'm like, I don't know, £30. And then I remember the jump from 30 to 60, and I was like, I felt like I suddenly had to have had photographed like an Olympic rider or something stupid. And now I know that it's not that. Like it's the time, the hours, the energy that you put into improving yourself and all of that. But yeah, I kind of saw how happy Mum was being self-employed, and then like I say, people just asked me, and I guess it grew from there. But I literally, even like in GCSEs, I could pick double art, and they were like, that's a lot of coursework. And I was like, yeah, but I'm not built to do anything else. Like it's got to be creative. And then the same with college, they were like, there's a lot of coursework, and I was like, but this is what I want to do.
What did you study at college? Photography?
Yeah, so photography, film studies, and graphic design. I actually enjoyed graphics the most, because photography and education is horrible, but we'll go into like the fact that I want to mentor people and all that. I think would be quite a good topic. But they are literally like, why did you take the photo? And you need to write an essay on the meaning behind this photo. And I'm like, because it looked nice. Like, not everything, it's not that deep, hun. Not everything is about that. So I actually only got a C in photography. So there's one for you kids. As long as you have enough grit and determination and passion for what you want to do, as long as you're not a doctor or something. Like lives aren't at stake.
Yeah,
in
you
my
might
career.
need to get a better grade in
People
that.
aren't going to die if they don't get a nice photo.
Yeah.
I hope. So that kind of thing. But graphics was really good because you got into like magazine design and like photos within like, so like manipulation and that kind of thing, like photos and text, that kind of thing. I did a bit, I think that might have been uni actually. I got like a photographed on film, like 35mm film. And then I had a typewriter, and then I printed like text and like scanned them in together. So like just doing really fun, creative
Yeah.
stuff, and evoking emotion in that, but not every single one had a meaning. It was like an overall feeling and that kind of thing. But yeah, I went on to do uni as well in the end, and I did illustration there, which I.
So you must be able to draw if you did illustration.
Well, no,
I feel like you're
I
not
didn't
giving yourself
really draw.
enough
I'm very
credit.
good at tracing, and I did more like drawing with photos.
Right.
I kind of think I probably should have done graphics in that instance, but then that was more computer, and I'm definitely more like hands-on, scan it in, manipulate it a little bit in Photoshop. I don't like using Photoshop a ton. But interestingly, I delayed uni by a year. I'm digressing here, but we'll circle back. I'm on one now. I went to go to Manchester uni, and I went for a night and came home the next morning. I packed my most expensive things, my camera, my laptop. I literally had like the worst night of my life, and then
How
I think
come? What, the
through
people, the
university,
course?
anxiety, and I was like,
yeah.
I am not going to live in a city. Like, I love my home, I love my horses. This is awful. I went for a boy, which is so stupid. And I think then on, I learned to trust my gut, and then I had one of the best years creating. I did lots of sewing like quotes and like feelings and that kind of thing. And then this was at college. I went to do like a gap year at college, and they saw I was doing something called the 52-week project, where you had like a word, and this was just like a personal arty project. And like, so like yellow, I did like the Yellow Brick Road, and like I had to lit Yellow Brick Road, and I'm like got someone's dog, and like they were quite manipulated. And like I did one called Bed, where I put like a mattress in a lake and like sat on it, and they found those, and they were like, what the hell are you doing sewing? And I was like, I just need a break from like creating. Like, I don't want to be judged on my creations, I just want to create for me.
Yeah.
Which is quite sad actually. But that's kind of like the whole education process.
And did you enjoy it for the most part, the education side of it? Do you think it benefited where you are now, or no?
No,
No.
I don't think so. I think learning to deal with people and like having, I was going to say instructors, then I've just had 2 lessons this morning, so I'm instructors on the brain, like the teachers, like a couple they'd really get on with, and they'd believe in you, and there was ways of like them building you up, which is good. But technically I learned a tiny bit at college, but the majority was kind of just like self-expression, and I was always shooting with clients and friends throughout school and college, or like the latter year of school and college and uni. So a lot of it was like self-taught.
Yeah.
I did get picked up by an event company. I was that annoying kid stood at a fence, the big hedge at my yard, that we had a fun ride. And then they were like, do you want a job? And then I was getting paid like £40 to photograph a fun ride, sat in a deck chair. I was like, this is great.
Yeah.
I learned a lot from them, because I didn't really know about settings. Like, I learned a tiny bit at college, and most of it self-taught, like YouTube, that kind of thing. And like, I'm very much like, I'm into my tech to a point, but then as long as I get the result that I want to get, I don't really care how I get it. And I'm very fussy with the result. But like, I think some people would be like, why have you shot it like on those settings? I'm like, how does it matter? Like, I got what I wanted to get.
Yeah, I got the result.
Yeah.
When you were going through uni, did you know when you came out you were going to go into just equestrian shooting?
So I was already doing it.
Yeah.
Pony's whinnying. I was already shooting, and actually I remember a moment of them saying like, if you're not meeting deadlines at uni, how are you going to meet them in life? And I was like, no.
I already am.
I'm meeting them in life. Uni is having to take a backseat. Like, quite a lot of people didn't already have a job. And the event company that I worked for retired, I think, around the year that I went to uni, like 2015. So that's when like my proper business was born, and like officially with tax and all that kind of thing. So I already was. So uni was good because it didn't mean that my parents were breathing down my neck being like, you need to get a job, or you need to, like, your job's not pay, your business isn't paying enough. So like it's quite good having uni at the same time. So there was not too much pressure on my business to grow. But then it got to a point when I was working in a camera shop as well, and I had the horses still on livery, like DIY. So it all became a bit much. So I ended up having to leave the camera shop, and then uni I had to really push through and like do my bare minimum and come up with a tutu, and just because the business was going so well,
Yeah.
which I don't think is a bad position to be in. So yeah, it was already kicking off, and I just couldn't wait to be out of uni. And I only commuted to uni in the end. Went to Wolverhampton, so that was good.
During that time, were you just shooting for like friends and family, or had it growing naturally itself by then?
No, it was growing naturally by then. Obviously, even now, word of mouth is amazing. But no, I was working with clients, and 2015 I started shooting at Radford's, which is my local venue, and printing on site in the horse box. Like my mum went away to Cornwall and like taught herself Lightroom, because I was not in a position to teach at all. Like she didn't even know how to crop, and I was like, I just can't. We're just gonna fall out. So I gave her like basics, and then she went and taught it herself, and so she would print on site in our little horse box, which meant that we actually could buy a horse box, because we probably wouldn't have just bought one for our own horses, but because it was part business, well, it went on the business because we printed on site all the time, and that came up really fast. And I'd say like the events took over initially for a few years. And it goes back to kind of the anxiety then, because I'm not speaking to people so much. So when I started doing more shoots again, I was like, oh, this is quite scary. But that's where my like creativity is always, and my passion is always lived, like even from that like 15-14-year-old girl.
Yeah.
Just creating that bond with horse and human. Like we spend so much time sludging through mud, hay in our hair, and we have those quiet moments with our horses when we look like shit. And we never get that moment captured. And I think that's what's literally going to go with me for my whole career. Like that is what lights me up.
If you didn't already know, this podcast is powered by Atlantic Harmony Equestrian, which is my equestrian clothing brand. I'm currently repping the navy quarter zip. We also have hoodies, t-shirts, leggings, beanies, literally all sorts. If you want to have a look and check out some of our collections, you can head across to www.atlanticharmonyequestrian.co.uk. During that time, like from the age of 15 to kind of when you came out of uni, do you have like a standout shoot that stands out to you in your head? Like, wow, I can't believe that this venue's approached me, or this person's approached me.
Gosh, I can't even remember what I shot yesterday. Did I shoot yesterday? No, maybe last week. I remember I shot with Carlos Parra, who is an Olympic rider, and that was really cool. And I got our first British eventing event at Radford's. That was amazing. So we didn't get that as soon as the company had retired, because we weren't ready. Like even now, 3 photographers, having a card runner, mum printer on site, it's a lot. It's a lot to organise, and like managing people. Like I know how I want something shot, but trying to train people, like I've already said, like mum had to kind of train herself, because I was like, I just can't. And like trying to be like the cool boss, like I'm a cool mum, like trying to be nice and amenable, and like having friends initially work for you, and then like finding that, and then finding people that aren't your friends, and like that's so scary. So getting the B was amazing. And I think we got another B like, I don't know if it was the end. Yeah, it must have been like nearing the end of uni, so that was really exciting. And they're like really good big events, and like Pony Club, like the 1 day events, they're the best. We've kind of learnt the eventing and like arena cross country low level show jumping is where we do well. Like the dressage, unfortunately, just in the end I couldn't fit it in the diary with shoots and all of that. So yeah, those kind of things were really cool. But like there's so many amazing shoots with just, that's your average people, but like people and their horses, like nothing beats getting that shot. Like you just want to jump up and down, and have been known to jump up and down and be like, oh, that's just so nice, like a golden hour, or especially like someone that you've known, or like you also, like the good thing with the events is, one, it's like marketing, but also you get to know people and their horses, and you say, oh, I've seen them go from 30 centimeters up to like 90 or whatever. But then it's even even nicer to photograph them competing once you've done a shoot, because you see a different side to them both, and you see the glint in the horse's eye. It sounds so cliche, but you really do, and you like get to know that horse just a tiny bit, like the owner knows them, and it's quite sweet. You feel like you're a part of it.
I'd never even thought about that side of it, that you're going to see people progress like through your job.
Yeah.
That's so lovely.
When I used to do pony club camps, that was really, really sweet, because I'd see the kids like growing up. Unfortunately, don't do them anymore. It's a lot of work and not a lot of profit, but also I don't have the time. I just don't have the time. And you've got to prioritize things. And my motto is kind of do one thing and do one thing as well as you possibly can, which I still do the events and the mentoring and the photo shoots, but like I try, and the shoots are always my hero of like my business.
And then when you came out of uni and you were doing it full time, how did the business grow after that?
It was already doing really well. Like I say, uni was not really a priority. But like I say, mainly events. I think because their business had just closed and I was like, oh my God, there is so much work. Of course, naturally things drop, because you're like, that's not really for me. Like we used to photograph regattas. Like that is not my thing. Horses only. Like say, like then we'd like drop the showing and drop the dressage, because just didn't work for my business model. Time, and if you don't love it as well, like people would just be like, oh, you're spooking my horse, and I was like, I don't want to sit here for 8 hours and be told this. Like I'm trying to do a nice thing where like get nice photos and stuff. So yeah, and just kind of gradually, like say word of mouth, events, and then as you drop some events, you then are like, okay, I've got space. And I would just push it on Instagram and Facebook. It's interesting actually, it started mainly on Facebook, and then Instagram is like my primary kind of source of like advertising. And then yeah, word of mouth and being at events and stuff. I think it like jogs people's minds, like, oh, I need to book that shoot.
Let's chat a bit about the socials, like how they started and kind of like how they've progressed to where they are today, because they're more than just promotional now. It's like a bit more personal.
Yeah, I'm always umming and ahhing how much to share, and I'm like, oh, I don't know. And I've had mentoring, and ultimately it comes down to whatever you're comfortable with, and I still don't know. Like sometimes I post stuff and I'm like, should I have been that open? Like a few months ago, I became the person that cries on Instagram. Who knew it? Like just trying to share the whole. It was a mentoring kind of post, and it was for International Women's Day, and I was like, it was everyone supports women, like right, like do they though? Like I think people there's the whole thing of people will support you until you get to a point where they think you're doing better than me now. I mean, how can you even judge that? How can you even judge that? Just because someone earns more money doesn't mean they're any happier than you. Someone's got a family, someone's married, they're in their home. Like you can't judge that. But I think it's really important to support other people. And so I shared that, which was very vulnerable, because I was like, oh, and my boyfriend is like the polar opposite of me, which is hilarious. He like doesn't post anything, and he's like, oh, I don't think you should post that. And I'm like, I shouldn't have asked you. Like I think it comes down to your gut feeling, and I know what I do is quite vulnerable for other people, and I guess you're probably the same. Like you got here and I was like, oh God, I'm really nervous, and I know tonight I'll be like, why did you say that? Why did you say that? Because that's how it goes. But I think having a shoot is very vulnerable, and I think sometimes people feel a bit showy-offy, which it is not that at all. It's what I just said. Like it's capturing those quiet moments with you and your horse. You don't have to share these photos. These can be on your phone and an album and your home. No one else has to see them. I would be sad if they didn't. But it's not about that. It's about you and your horse. That's why I want to make people feel like they know me. And you were saying like it's good to put a face to the name. And like I do try and talk on stories. I do try and show photos of me and my horses, my struggles, that kind of thing. I want people to realise that I'm a human being.
Yeah.
I'm not a paparazzi. I'm not just this big long lens. Like I'm usually people just see the camera in front of me. I also shoot from quite a distance away as well, so I want to make people feel like really comfortable. That's not the reason I shoot far away. It looks better. Zoomed in, obviously. But that, and I think it's about building a brand, and there's the whole know, like, and trust. And I think, again, I'm going to go into your business now because I'm so I love business. I find it so fascinating. But I was saying to you, I think the podcast is so good for your business, and like you coming here, I didn't feel nervous about meeting you because I feel like I know you.
Yeah, it's all about
And
personal brand, isn't it?
Exactly. It's building that relationship with people, and it's nuanced, and it's, I'm not sure if I use that word properly. I heard it on a podcast, and I like the word, but it's not one thing. No, I did use it right. It's not one thing.
Yeah.
And we're not one thing, and I think that's why it's good to share a multifaceted kind of amount of you. The only thing with that is I don't like sharing iPhone photos and that kind of thing. I want my grid to look nice, and it's the funny quick reels, they do so well, and you're like, God, I've slaved over this shoot and this reel, and it's flopped, and that's heartbreaking. But it's not personal. I think that's another real big learning I've learned in everything with life. It's not personal. It's not about you. Instagram is just doing its own thing. That person's just doing their own thing.
And I love your Instagram because I feel like a lot of other photography businesses, they just showcase work, and I love the fact that you have that personal brand.
Oh, good.
And when I came across you, so like for example, just going back to my business again, like say I was planning on doing a shoot or something, and I was going through and I had lots of options, and I was scrolling through, and then I see a face to a name.
Yes.
It's like persuasion in a way, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, I've seen her, I know when I meet her it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
That type of thing. So I think what you're doing, and obviously I'm not a huge business person or anything like that, but for me,
doing pretty well.
it would work for me.
Yeah.
Like that marketing strategy and having that personal brand.
And it's not going to work for everyone. Someone will want the big fancy, looks like they've got loads of followers. That's a whole other thing. I remove followers left, right and centre, and it's heartbreaking. But
How come you do that?
Because Brenda from America, who doesn't have a horse, is not my client.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
It just, as much as I am like, thank you for following me because my reel went viral, you aren't going to be interested in anything else I post. So Instagram is going to think, this person's not very popular. And that's why I remove it. And I think some people will want the accounts that have got all these followers, and the big shiny branding, and like, their footage will be amazing. I'm sure it will be, and their photos will be amazing. But like, they're that blah, 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 that will be for some people, and then me, who's not perfect, not got perfect branding, kind of sometimes just slapdash it out on socials. My work, I pride myself in being as perfect as possible, and that's why I'm so blooming slow. I'm so slow at editing because I'm like, it's not perfect, and I need to like look at it again and like go make a cup of tea, look at it with fresh eyes, look at it the next morning. You do a late night editing and you're like, what were you thinking with that colouring? But that's the thing. I want people to feel like I am a person, and like I've said, it's vulnerable. Even with branding, especially when it's your own brand, you're like, is this person going to do what I want them to do? Like, are they going to bring to the table their own thing, but also advocate for my brand creatively?
Okay, so speaking of like the marketing side of things, how did you get, because you're good at it, how did you get into that like side of things? Like, was that also just like a natural thing that you picked up as you went along?
No, not natural. Selling yourself is hard. And I think when you are it, like, my photos are created by me.
Yeah.
I edit them, It's hard, and also putting a price on that is also hard. But then I want a house, I want this, that and the other, like, I want to pay bills. And like, cameras and stuff is expensive, so like, that's hard. I've spent, oh my god, I was trying to add it up, it's well over 12 grand on mentoring and all that, and I've got those people to thank for that. But equally, I have implemented some of their things. You don't obviously implement every single thing someone teaches you. It's like a riding lesson. You might think, that's not for me, or it takes longer for it to kind of come into fruition. Like, you're like, what is this leg to hand? What are you on about? And it's the same with business and mentoring and that kind of thing. And you try different strategies. Like, I've had my Instagram since it probably would be 2015, and I've tried varying strategies. And obviously then the fun thing is that Instagram decides that they're going to throw in their own thing.
New algorithms.
I used to love stories. I used to post quite a lot of stories, and now Instagram's like, we'll only show it to like 400 people if you share too many.
Yeah.
Whereas 10% of your audience is like the ideal, isn't it, for stories? So then that comes into it as well. And I'm very much heart on my sleeve, very much go with my gut. have learned obviously with uni. If you ignore your gut, you're not going to feel very happy. So, and also in my schedule as well. So like I've done with the mentoring, I've done like quite a lot of mindset work as well. And it's like, if you don't have the mindset or the mental capacity to take on new clients, why the hell are you promoting for new clients? Don't do it. If you just need to get on top of your work and make sure you're dealing and like treating your current clients really well, don't start promoting for new shoots. Because I've got in the habit of that, and I'll put a story out and be like, oh, I've got these spaces. And I think this might get a bit woo-woo, but I think if I've got that mental block, like I don't physically have the time for the inquiry call to deal with booking on a new client, they're not going to come. Whereas when I'm like, oh, I'll just pop it on, and if nothing comes of it, like it's fine, like here, not there, I'll probably get 2 or 3. And of course you still get your email ones and that kind of thing, but and that's talking about just story marketing, saying I've got this space, that kind of space. And obviously there's grid posts, that kind of thing. Like, it's trial and error. And also, like I say, like going with my gut, I'm like, I'm just going to add that in there. Call to action, like booking a shoot. I've only got this many spaces. And like something might come of it, and someone might put a review on. There's so many different ways of marketing. But I think it's definitely got to be aligned with you. This is obviously more service-based businesses. I don't really know a lot about products, but that's what works for me, and I kind of just go with my gut, trial and error, time of day, that kind of thing, and just not. I think if you ever feel desperate for work, you're like, oh my god, like especially in winter's hard. You're in like, oh my god, I've got nothing, and it's like, I think people can like smell it. They're like, no, like, why are you constantly promoting yourself? I think that turns people off massively. Like, you see some people like every time promoting. It's like, whoa, like chill out. Like, I've had a business ringing me 4 or 5 times, so I've got a stand at Blenheim, and they're like, I've ignored it every time. Of course, I just naturally Google, who is this person ringing me? And then they've emailed me and they're like, oh, it's down from 700 and it's actually going to be £180 if you want an advert in this thing. I'm like, it sounds like you need me more than I need you. You rang me 4 times. No. And again, that might work for someone else. They might need to be hounded. It doesn't work for me. You go too intense and I will back off. My mum was listening. My mum's just started a different business actually, which is so cool. Although I am now becoming like her frigging mentor, and it's like never the right time when she asks us a question, and she's like, I taught you to use a spoon, and I'm like, I know. But she's becoming a celebrant because she's got like hand issues from all the hairdressing, and she was listening to a mentoring call the other day, and they were like, oh yeah, if you get a new follower, like greet them. And I was like, that is a fast way for me to unfollow you. If you start greeting me when I followed you, I'm going to run for the hills, because I'm going to think like you're trying to sell me something.
Are notorious for that. You'll follow like a fitness account. Like, oh, this is inspirational.
I had someone else do that. Maybe they're having some mentoring that's like telling them that that's a good idea. And it might work for some people. It might work for some clients. Yeah. But it will not work for me. And I think that's another good marketing tip, is analyze your own buying, browsing kind of habits. And there's like a new theory, isn't there? But it's not even new. I've been saying this for years. But like, how many times people have to see something now before they even consider buying it?
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it?
I think especially with reels and ads popping up, like, didn't it used to be 7 times? Then it was like 14. It's probably like 50 to 100 now. And I think that's really interesting to analyze your own habits, especially for a service base. It might be quite useful to try and target people that are similar to you.
Yeah, well, I even said it at the start. I'd seen your name, seen your photos everywhere.
Yes.
And I just hadn't pressed the follow button.
And you didn't message me. Yeah. And you didn't follow me.
And I think you're amazing, and I love your content and everything. But it took me so long. Do you know what I mean?
And there's no like malice behind it, and you just kind of like, life's busy. Yeah. And you're just like, oh yeah, that's nice. Move on.
Give that a like.
Han's terrible. She liked my post the other day. I was like, that looks weird. I'm just like, I'm trying to be better. I'm trying to be better, because some people are like, I'm a serial liker. Like, I like people's stories and all.
See, I'm not. I'm probably more like Han. I'm the opposite.
See, I think it's because I know it annoys me, like when people don't support. Han, it's not personal. I know it's not personal. But like, everyone has different ways of using social media. Like, we were just talking to my sister before, and she prefers watching podcasts on YouTube. I listen in the car. She says she could never listen in the car. It's different ages, different all sorts.
Yeah. Yeah, but no, I think you're fantastic at the marketing, like so good. So I was really
Thank
interested to hear
you.
about what you had to say about the marketing
Yeah,
side
I
of
think
it.
I've had like a lot of help, like Sophie Callahan's one.
Yeah, let's speak
Tara
about the
Best.
mentor in a bit.
Yeah, they've been great, and Sophie Callahan especially because I liked the way she did business. It was similar to my mum, like quite chilled, like not take it or leave it, but like very chilled, works around you. She's now got kids, and then Tara was really good at the mindset and that kind of thing. Again, very interestingly, I'd followed them for a long time. I'd actually had a shoot with Sophie and found her through YouTube before that. Felt like I knew her. I'd love to do YouTube more. Hannah Wizzy Welsh. We have to call Han and Hannah Wizzy Welsh. And my sister's been calling her Hannah Wizzy all day. I'm like, you don't have to call it to her face. It's only if we're talking about her.
Like, where's Wizzy?
Yeah, literally, it's talking about her, like not bitching about her, but like just being like, which Hannah are you on about?
Yeah.
So she was doing a bit of editing for me vlogs because I literally can't watch myself back because I'm like, Martha, no one cares.
Will you watch this back? Or you just listen to it in the car?
Well, I was thinking about it. I was thinking because then I just like go, oh, why have you done that and why have you said that? And it's like no one cares. But like I literally watched someone fix their bed. They were like a photographer and he was doing his photo and he jumped on his bed and he's broke it. And I watched him fix it and go to the shop and buy screws and all sorts. And I'm like, if that is not telling you people will watch anything,
Yeah, literally.
I don't know what is. Like I love organising videos as well. So I need to get out of my head, but at the same time it comes back down to my clients are my priority, and I don't want to be worrying about filming and editing and all that. Like I need to be delivering the goods. Like July has been absolutely mental. June had a lot of postponements because it was so windy. So I have been so busy. At one point I had 7 shoots to edit. Like that is a new record. That was a bit much. Like I like to have like 1 shoot a week or 4 shoots a month. I had like 4 in 1 week. No, to be fair, they were booked in. A few moved in the end because of life and weather and all that fun stuff. But no, I love marketing. I find it so interesting, and I find business so interesting, and I find the whole like psychology behind we buy and that kind of thing, and how social changes and how it adapts, and like I know I can help people quite a lot as well because I'm quite useful in the fact that I've now got that knowledge, and also they need visuals. Like people are always like, oh, you've got like unlimited amount of content that you can share, and yes I have, but equally I will pull my work apart like so much. I'm like, I can't share that, and like my clients love it, and I'm just like
Yeah.
for various reasons.
Is there any other like good mentoring advice you've been given?
Oh gosh, so much.
So what kind of areas have you had mentoring in?
Sophie's like me in kind of like marketing, social media, dealing with clients. Tara was around pricing, mindset, business, social media a little bit. I actually had some training with a newborn photographer on IPS, which is in-person sales. We are actually in my viewing room where we so I used to do online galleries, and I paid out, and it was a scary amount of money at the time because I was not ready, like, but you're never ready. That's the whole thing of marketing. You're pushing to that next level, and that was very interesting, and I've kept that kind of model. My prices have obviously changed, so in terms of like how people can buy from me on the shoot, I've learned that, and I think that's a very good tip is oh my god, words, is learning from people not in your sector. And I actually don't follow, or I mute, sorry people, I mute a lot of people in my sector because I don't want to subconsciously copy, because it will never be intentional.
Yeah.
But because you see stuff, you think, it's like, did I dream that? Was that someone else's? Is that my own idea? I'd rather just not see it.
Yeah.
And I think like following like, I love like following like Vogue and that kind of thing, and just fashion photographers, models, love following all those kind of things because it gives you inspiration from different areas. I can't think off the top of my head any more kind of mentoring tips. I had some help with the training barn as well. They're amazing. Again, not everything, you're not going to agree with every single thing these people teach you. And I think that is something you've got to learn and grow, and you don't want to become like a mold of what people are teaching and molding out all these same people. I think you have still got to be your own person, but that comes down to the whole gut feeling, and all that kind of thing. Knowing yourself, trial and error. Be like, okay, I'm going to try this. I'm not sure. It works. It's amazing. It doesn't work. Learn and grow from it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you've given some really good advice there without even realising you've given it.
Good.
I love that you said that you mute people, because I don't mute people. I do still look at all the other equestrian brands out there. But when I'm looking for inspiration for new marketing ideas or new product ideas, I will never look at equestrian brands. I'll mainly go to gym brands, because it's still kind of within the same type of field, but not close enough that you're going to be like copying. Do you know what I mean?
And that they've got bigger market, bigger budget. And I don't want this to be offensive to the equestrian community, but equestrian brands are massively behind
100%.
compared to like your makeup, your gym, all of that kind of stuff. So I think that's really, really healthy.
Yeah, and I think like even like the podcast idea, that was like another brand that did that. Like I can't even think who doesn't, like White Fox. I swear they've got like a podcast and stuff.
White Fox is mental. It's everywhere. We went to Old Towers the other day. They're everywhere. And I was like, who has created this brand? And we googled and I was like, I've literally never heard of these people. Because Nancy was like, oh, it might be a Kardashian. I was like, no, because you'd know if it was a Kardashian.
Yeah.
Oh, so they had a podcast too.
Yeah,
they're doing really well.
And then
Their
like Foot Asylum and stuff like that. Like, you know how they've gone like into like the YouTube space.
No,
kind
I've
of
not
like,
heard of them.
Oh, really? You've never heard of Foot Asylum? Like the shop? It's like green logo. You will have seen it.
Maybe.
You will have.
But I've not heard of like their YouTube thing.
And like Gymshark and stuff. They've all started
amazing.
YouTube.
He is incredible.
Yeah, he's amazing. Like so good. So I look more to people like that rather than like founders within our space.
Yeah.
So I think that was really good advice. You said when you said that you're never ready. I think that's amazing
Oh
advice,
my god,
because you will never be ready.
And that's another thing that I have even for my shoots is my kind of slogan is there will never be a perfect time. So let that time be now. Because people are like, oh, I need to lose weight. Oh, my horse's coat's not right. The horse's coat's actually never. I personally don't think they show up that differently unless it's got a really bad clip job. I think as long as if you can fully clip them and blend it out, I think any time of year, unless you like prefer if it's like a chestnut like really red in the summer or whatever, but and then like, oh, it needs this, that and the other, and my yard's not this, my this, that and the other. Like sometimes it is a genuine excuse and like a genuine reason, and other times people are just like maybe next year. And unfortunately it's very morbid marketing, but these horses aren't going to be with us forever. It sucks. It's diabolical in this day and age. They should live forever, but it's not the case. And it's the same with the mentoring. Like I have taken the leap. I've spent way more than I'm earning at times, but as long as you put the work in and as long as you think that coach is aligned to you, if they're teaching something that you do not agree with, then it's like the instructor, like it's not going to work, is it? To be fair, you still might find a little nugget of thing, but if you're spending a lot of money for one little nugget, although kind of backtrack and kind of contradicting myself a little bit there, when you get to a point and you've learned quite a lot, I think if you can find one nugget, but it'll be a big nugget, a golden nugget of like that will change your business forever. I think that is a real winner. And that's why I've really enjoyed like starting out doing a bit of mentoring. It's still scary, so scary, but when you see like these people doing well from what you've taught them, when they send you a review, and like it does give me confidence as well. Like sometimes I'm like, oh, I do kind of know what I'm talking about to a point. Because imposter syndrome is huge. Yeah. It's huge. But I think you have to be a little bit nervous, otherwise you're not going to improve. Like every shoot I go to, I'm nervous. I'm definitely less nervous than I have been because I've like done so much marketing, mindset work and counselling that I kind of the amount of stuff I counsel myself. Sometimes I don't even let myself cry these days because I'm like, no, why are you feeling these feelings? I'm like, would you just let yourself feel it? Because if it's not going to come out, it's going to like bottle itself up. And it's like, no, we can reason with this. And I'm like driving along like Martha. But no, I think mentoring is in anything, even like life with counselling and stuff. Like I don't have it very regularly, but there was a point when Mum was like, I can't be everyone's therapist in this house. Can you please go and get actual help? I was like, okay. And now I see her doing it with like her business. She's like, can you give me advice on this? And I'm like, I don't have the mental capacity for it today. She's like, you never do. And I'm like, I know. We're all struggling, you know.
Speak me through what a typical week would look like in your life, and I want to hear like,
gosh.
do like a shoot week. Well, you do a shoot a week, as you just said, is the goal.
Well, it depends.
But let's do like a shoot week and speak me through like the whole process, like post, on the shoot, after,
Okay.
and then the other days in between.
Oh God, this is gonna out me. I have a very relaxed work-life balance. Well, I do and I don't. It depends. Like, I can have like an absolutely mental week. Like today is mental, not for work, but like life. I could have like, I try and have like a day off from talking to people, because as much as you might think I'm very confident now, I am going to need a nap after this. I would say I'm a introverted extrovert. Introverted extrovert. So openly I'm very like chatty and stuff, but like I need a day like,
to rejuvenate.
Even if that's editing or admin, as long as I'm not talking, it's fine. So like I don't really like to have a call either. So like all of my clients will have a call to book, and then they will have a video call before the shoot, so they feel like comfortable. And I want to get to know them and see them, and they might send me videos of the yard and that kind of thing. I want to feel as prepared as possible. It's not essential, but it's just nice to have. So we could, I don't like to shoot on a Monday. I love like an admin Monday. I just got a treadmill desk because
fun.
It's so good. I haven't been using it a lot lately because I've been riding and doing Pilates. So I'm like, I just need to sit down and edit. I quite like to just like whack Netflix on, like something that's not too interesting, like very basic, like, I don't know, Selling Sunset, Below Deck, that kind of thing. I haven't watched either of those for a while. But like while editing. So say Monday's like an admin day, and then maybe ride or whatever, and then say Tuesday I've got a call, and then maybe I've got some editing to do. Then again, if I've already got editing to do, I would have done it on the Monday. It's quite hard to say. Maybe I've got evening show jumping that night, so I'll have done a little bit of work, whatever that looks like, and then say I've got a shoot on the Wednesday, and we confirm a time the day before because of light, so I'll know on the Tuesday when I'm going to be going. If it's not too far away, I'll just go, and I might, if it is far away, I'll either stay with them the night before or the night after the shoot. And we'll shoot for a couple of hours, just kind of walk around the yard. We'll have discussed all of this prior, but it's very chilled, like this podcast, very chilled. Just kind of, we'll get there, walk around the yard, make a bit of a plan, look at all their outfits, make a bit of a plan with that. Within about 20 minutes, the plan's gone completely out the window. But it's just good. I'm very, obviously, naturally visual with like how I learn and see things. So I'll see shots, and then the horse will move, and I very much don't like to push the horse around. I want the horse to work with us and be happy. And occasionally I'll be like, oh, that's actually a really nice shot, or I'll move my feet a couple of steps. That's a very good tip. That's more of a photography tip, is move your feet. It's a very good, but that could be a good tip for life. Move your perspective. So yeah, we'll do that for a couple of hours, just play with the horse. And that's something that someone said the other night, actually, at their viewing, like, it was just nice to just be with my horses doing something different. And that is something I've always said, but it's nice hearing it from someone else. So yeah, just do that, and then I'll whack a podcast on the way home, or an audiobook, whiz home if I'm not staying, and I'll then either import when I got back or the next day, depends on that time. Sometimes you get home at like 9, 10 at night and you're just like, I just need to collapse. And that's why I don't shoot a ton in a week if I can help it, because I want to give my absolute all to my clients, all my energy and all that. And then the next day this is my favourite bit, is putting my like preset, which is like a filter, on the images for the first time, and looking at the ones that I was like so happy when I shot them, and then I'll go through and cull them. I'll try and get them down to like 80 to 100, maybe a few more, maybe a few, not less than 80. And then I'll just do a bit of editing really, and then I'll probably go and do something else, either admin or ride. I am very partial to a nap. I work very well first thing in the morning, and then kind of between 2 and 4 I am
after lunch.
useless. So I can push through most of the time, and I do try, and that's where the treadmill desk has been massively helpful, especially when I've got so much editing to do. I'm like, there is no time for this. But the way I see it is, people are going to look at these for the rest of their lives. They need to be right. If I'm not giving them my A game, I'm going to have a nap and be right back with you. And then I'll quite easily work like 6 till 9. Or I won't. That'll be it for the day. It's my business and it has to work for me. And like, I don't post on the stories about me having a nap because I think it looks unprofessional, but I am undiagnosed with ADHD, and I think my brain is so busy, like it never stops, and it's exhausting. And I think that kind of is where the anxieties come from. And now I've learnt that it's ADHD, I've given myself so much more grace. I don't want to go into that much more because everyone's going on about it, and I think people are like, I don't want to say something wrong. I think, I just don't want to upset people about it. But I'm quite happy if that's what I've got. I'm quite happy about that because I would not change it. It makes me more creative. But if that means I need to have like a little bit of downtime, then I need to have a bit of downtime. And I love it. So then, I'll either work in the evening or ride. I've just started doing a bit of Pilates, reformer Pilates, which I did to like feel fitter. And actually, it's been so good for like mental clarity. Just to have an hour where you're not on your phone. I am addicted to my phone. Instagram more so. Yeah, it's bad, but YOLO.
I want to know what your favourite part of your job is.
It's interesting because I kind of just alluded to it a little bit, is when, obviously the shoot, there are moments where I'm like, oh my God, that shot is just incredible. And like, I really like driving to the shoot because I always try and be like, oh my God, this is my job. I get paid to do this. Like, I would do this for free. I love it. I love it so much. But definitely apart from the shoot, because obvious, like that's amazing. And I think when people become a photographer or they think they want to be a photographer, they think that's what you do all the time. And you don't. That is like 20% of my business. Is such a small part. But then again, I just take so long with editing that maybe that's why that's such a big part. But I think putting my preset on for the first time and having the first look at the images, it's just like, that's so beautiful. And I don't even know what goes through my head. I'm just like, I just love that. I just love that. And I just, so nice. I love doing the viewings with people as well. I love it all. But I think every time I come to a viewing, I'm like, I don't think I did a very good job. Mum's like, you say this every time. But that's because I always want more and I always want better. And I've definitely learnt to be kind to myself. Like, I'm like, okay, if you'd have taken a breath here and done this, maybe like you could have got this shot and it would have been nice to have used that. But let's not stress about it. Like, they are not going to care. They are going to be over the moon. And like, people cry and they love the photos. And I think that has actually been really nice doing the in-person thing, because you don't get that with an online gallery. And having the big reveal, and I edit on like a little Mac, and having it on the big screen here, I'm like, that's really nice. And it's not like a big hectic thing. I don't really think about the fact that I always took it. I'm just like, that's just a really nice photo.
Yeah.
So
I feel like this next one's going to be hard for you, but I want to know your least favourite thing.
I don't really like culling them once I've culled them the first time. I'm a bit like, and like I get a bit bored. I'm like my attention span's a bit like, like I'm just like, and then I'll be culling, and then I'll start editing one because I'm like, am I going to keep you? Can I edit you in a way that I'm going to keep you? And then I'll still delete it, and I'm like, you've just wasted 10 minutes. Like, and that, like, the decision making is quite, like, it saps quite a lot of my energy because you're literally deleting someone's photo. And I do overshoot massively. Like, I take like 600 plus and I end up deleting like 400, if not more. But yeah, more. And I'm like, oh my God, like, if you'd have just shot less. I think that's probably my least favourite. Yeah. At the events, I don't really like doing my orders, which is bad. I love shooting the actual event and like mum prints on site, but I don't know. I don't even know why I don't like that. Once I'm doing it, I'm fine.
Just the thought of doing it.
Yeah, that's so bad, isn't it? But no, the shoots, it's only really that. I kind of get a bit bored of looking at them. And like, I think if I've taken too many days and I like, if I've shot something new, I'm kind of like the new shoot is like more exciting because I've not seen that. So I've had to like learn, like, if you just get it done quicker, then you don't have to keep staring at them.
Yeah.
And they're still exciting. And like, just because I've done it quicker isn't any less great. Like, I still put so much energy, and I almost put too much energy in that like I start messing with things. That wasn't too hard. I thought that was gonna be harder.
Have you got like a favourite person or like someone that you like, I can't believe I've worked with them, or maybe like an event that you can't believe that you were invited to work there?
Oh, it's got to be No Horse Han. No Horse Han. I'm joking. I love you, boo. Joe Stockdale was amazing. I've worked with him through Charles Owen. Charles Owen, that was amazing. It's funny though, because when you get that call, you're like, oh, I've only got this because I know that person. And like, how does that diminish the fact that you're working with that brand? No. It doesn't.
You have to be good enough to do it.
Yeah, and that's kind of how things work. Like, they have to know who you are to book you. Like, obviously they don't have to like know you, but yeah, I'm very good at diminishing stuff. I'm like, well, I only got that because I know that person. And that's kind of how business works. But there's just so many amazing shoots, so many. Just like I say, like my clients that people wouldn't know the names of, but they're just so special. And like hearing people's stories and like, yeah, I obviously it's great to have big names, but my clients, they'll make the world go round, yeah. And that's what I do the majority of. And like, yeah, they're super special.
So obviously you do equestrian photography. If you didn't do equestrian photography, do you think you'd still do photography? And if you would, what do you think you'd shoot?
No.
You don't think you'd do it?
I don't like photographing anything else.
You don't think you'd go into fashion or anything like that?
Oh, so boring. Do you know, I think if fashion wasn't bitchy and like, I think I get the impression that it's very competitive. But then again, people might say that about this, and a lot of people are like, oh, there's so many equestrian photographers, and I'm like, that's another good tip in terms of like mentoring and stuff, is there's only one of you. No one is gonna do what you do like you. Don't get me wrong, people can create images like I do. I don't think I'm anything special. I don't think I'm anything special, but no one is me. And that is my power, and that is your power. How you make people feel, your quirks, your isms, all of that is part of the shoot. Like, taking the photos, obviously, is the final product and that kind of thing. But there are so many talented photographers out there now, and service-based businesses that do all sorts of things. Same with hairdressers. Like, how many hair salons are there? And they're all so busy, or they seem it anyway. It's about the communication, and it's about, just being yourself.
Yeah, all links back
to your personal brand. And I think that comes down to Instagram, is the more that you are yourself, you will find your people. And I think that's another marketing tip, is the more you are yourself. And it's okay if you don't want to cry on Instagram. Like, that doesn't have to be your thing. And I would like to make it not my forever thing. But that's what's worked for me. And I think that is massively important.
Let's speak about the equestrian side of you then. How did you get into horses?
Oh, love my girls. I have literally always wanted a horse. And my mum didn't ride until she was 30, so quite late.
How did she get into it?
I feel like someone bought her a lesson, but I'm not sure on that one. Okay. But she started having lessons, and then the instructor, funnily enough, bred our last horse that we have. And she was like, oh, I've got a friend that's got 2 horses that need riding. as a kid, I thought they were massive. They're only 14 too. And we'd go and ride and do stuff with them there. I actually am allergic to horses.
I actually have a friend who's allergic to horses, and she also has horses.
Yeah, I'm allergic to anything fluffy. So cats, dogs,
Yeah.
rabbits, sheep. We have all of them, and I am allergic. I just take the most massive prescribed hay fever tablets now, and I've learned to wash my hands and not rub my face. And we don't clip. We bought a pair of clippers, and I can't clip because I will keel over. So as a kid, I was like, that's gonna be such a nice noise. Sorry if you've got AirPods in. I looked like a puffer fish, and my eyes were streaming, and I was like, I love horses. I just love them. And I definitely think as well, like the more you get used to your own horses, like when we first got our puppy, I couldn't breathe at night, and I was like, I just need to be here with you all the time, and now I'm fine. So yeah, had riding lessons while Mum kind of rode. They were Rizla and Polly, they were called. And now her daughter card runs for me at events.
Aww.
So they've all stayed in touch, and they're all friends. It's so nice. That's what's really nice about the equestrian community as well, I think. And that made me possibly more confident at 15 to start the business, because on livery yards you're with so many different ages and people, aren't you? Which is so nice. And I know it's not all welcoming, but a lot of it is, and that's what's really nice. And you can go out on a hack and you can be chatting to 60-year-old Brenda about life, and it's so nice, isn't it? So yeah, I had riding lessons, and of course from the get-go was like, wow, before even the riding lessons I was like, Mum, I want riding lessons, I want a pony, want a pony, want a pony, want a pony, want a pony. So we got a PGL loan pony when they did ponies. She was 25, called Lily, which is quite funny because I'm obviously Martha Lily. I think she must have had Cushing's. You could bury your hand in her fur. She was so cute. Used to ride around the school, and you could completely drop your reins and she would run straight back to the gate. She was so nappy, but she was so cute. She was like 11 too. And then had another couple of loan ponies. One of them hated my mum, like with a passion. She was
What do you mean?
so
What did she
marish.
do?
She was just vile to her. She was beautiful. She was like a roan pony called Candy. Oh, this is like so cute, little memory lane. She loved me, but she hated my mum. I don't know why. Maybe it was because Mum tacked up. I think she like tried to kick her. Unfortunately, she got really bad lammy, and yeah, she had to go back because she was really lame. Then we had one called Tom, which is like my only gelding. I'm definitely a girl's girl, a mare's girl. And I used to ride his brother in the riding school. They were called Tom and Jerry. Dapple grey. There is a beginning theme here. Loving the greys. Loving the dapple greys. Then fell in love with a very dark grey on the yard called Kitty. She's the one that's currently screaming that you can't hear, but we can hear. She's now 24. We got her at 7 in 2007. And yeah, the rest is history. She's just been absolutely amazing. Yeah, love how I'm gonna get a bit emotional. She's great. She's a little bit lame at the moment, Lammy and stuff, but we've done all sorts with her. I had a little video go viral on YouTube to Bon Iver, the flume of me in my prom dress cantering on the beach at golden hour. She's just brilliant. You can do whatever with her. She's great. She doesn't love water, but she will. She's currently gone viral on Instagram with her snack, not letting me have her snack. She is the naughtiest model with my shoots. I think she is just so unbelievably fed up of me because I've obviously, before 15, been photographing her and all sorts, and she's just like, will you just leave me alone? I've got like my Mary Poppins bag full of tricks to try and get ears forward. None of them work. She bit my sister. She climbed over the log that my sister was sat on for a pose while sat on it. She just doesn't care, and she's just so done with us, but we love her endlessly. She's only 12 too. And then 2 years later, I got Zoffy, who is also still here. She's 21. She's an Arab cross Welsh and a Bay. So I actually wanted a grey Connie at this time, but there was no 14-2s around. Like, Mum was taking me to try these horses, and this lady was like, oh, she is quite small, isn't she? And Mum was like, I did tell you that. Yeah. Like, I'm only 5'1" at the age of 29 now. I was tiny. I was a lot skinnier back then. So I was honestly tiny. So Zoffy was only little, and then just did a bit with her, but she's very much like Hannah Wizzy Welsh's Seren, like just will throw a stop in, very like spirited, but we love them endlessly because they're very loving ponies. But I would never, ever have another Welsh Cross Arab. My God. No. Then I bought a 13-1 off a friend that didn't really want much to do with horses anymore. A bit like Kitty, just bigger version, called Elsa. Plan was to sell her in 6 months. I kept her for 2 years. She was hilarious. She used to drink Fanta out the bottle. She was just so cute and hilarious. But it just got to a point where she didn't want to jump any bigger than like 50, 60. And I was a bit like, come on. So sold her, which was the most heartbreaking thing ever. And I do not know how people sell their horses at all. But she's in a lovely home and I've been to see her a couple of times. She's living her best life. And that allowed me to buy Lola, which that's kind of, amazing. She is a Connie thoroughbred and she is my absolute heart horse. I just adore the bones of her. I've obviously love all my horses, but she loves tea like me. She loves a cup of tea. You cannot leave a mug near her. She broke one of my mugs and my dad was like, oh, it's your horse's fault. I'm like, you have my favourite mug and you know the horse likes tea. Just know. But she's got the most amazing personality. She is the best model for photos. She's very well behaved. She's got the sweetest little wicker. We call her the generator because in the morning she doesn't take a breath. She just goes for like ages. She's just such a sweet horse. And then we got Madge. So we got Lola in 2016 at 4. Did not want a 4-year-old. Wanted a Bay Section D. Got Grey Connemara thoroughbard.
Literally opposite.
Yeah, basically have no idea what you want, and then you'll get it. I guess. I don't know. Don't have an idea of what you want because you won't get it. And then we got our last horse, again as a 4-year-old, from the lady that taught Mum. So full circle. And she is a Lusitano. We got her at 4. I have never had something so... Zoffy's very independent-minded, but Madge, my God, I've never had anything like it. I've just had 2 Rich Hayward lessons this morning. Never had him before, and he's just got us going the best she's ever gone. She's just been really hard to get into, and like I love my mares because I feel as a woman, like, you ask us, you don't tell us what to do. But Madge has been like nothing I've ever known. And because I'm so into my business, the horses do take a backseat, unfortunately. And unless I have a goal, I struggle to make myself get out and ride. Like, I'm so lucky to have the horses at home in the later few years. And that's the only reason we've got Madge. We never would have been able to have like a 4th horse on livery. I know I'm very privileged, but equally we all work very hard. Like, we've all got our own businesses here. And yeah, so she's, Luso, she's now 8. And yeah, the girls are both 15-2, 15-3. And Grey. So yeah, I have 3 Greys for my sins. But I love them. I just love them.
What are your goals with them? You said that you can't work out goals.
Yeah, so I love like having like little goals at home or like booking a competition. So Lola, we qualified for Aintree Ace eventing, like arena eventing, only at 70, very small, big enough. I didn't go because the stay away was going to be really expensive, and I was like, that's going to be really expensive if I get eliminated at fence 1. Potentially a goal for next year, but I'm not putting any pressure on myself. I just want to enjoy her. Yeah. And the arena eventing I really enjoy. Maybe got the levels of dressage, and then Madge probably got the levels of dressage. Mum wants to do a bit with her as well. But I'd like to get my changes at home, and I'd like to get Madge just more consistent. I'd like them to lose a bit of weight as well, and just get them going nicely. But primarily just enjoy them and like get a really nice way of going. I think because of my business, because I'm so perfectionist, I get out in the arena when they've not been ridden for 2 weeks and want it to go perfectly. No, it's not going to, get upset, not with the horses, with myself, and then just don't enjoy it. So like, I think if I can have a goal, like this morning I was get on her quickly before Rich gets here because she takes a bit longer. I was like, we'll just walk and trot and just really quietly get you to stretch down, and that's the only goal. And I'm so much happier when I like have like a very manageable but still like a goal to push yourself, because she's very unstable in the contact. But I like to try and ride them very kindly, and yeah, I need to ride more, and people are sick of hearing me say it. But that is the way it goes. I can't do it all. And I do feel guilty, but it's what it is.
Do you have a favourite equestrian memory?
For you to say, do you have a favourite horse? That's
No, I would never ask you that.
Yeah, I do. No. I think same with Kitty, like on the beach that night. We took Kitty and Zoffy that night, and like you don't get like that, just off the cuff. Like we didn't check the weather or anything, and like that was back in the day we used to film for YouTube, like to music and that kind of thing. It was so fun. And like swimming, I was out swimming with the sea with the surfers on Zoffy. Yeah, it's just so amazing. And I've really loved competing Lola at pool over the winter, like just feeling like we're finally having fun together and just that kind of thing. And like we've been swimming down the river as well. That's quite fun. I'm a water baby. I love just doing stuff like that with them. We did that with Kitty as well. There was like a hack we used to do and go swimming, and like if you've never swam on a horse, it's definitely something I would recommend. Just be careful, but it's the most amazing feeling.
God, I'm gonna have to go swim on a horse
You
now.
are. We'll have to go.
So, this podcast is called Beyond the Stable. I want to know what you do out with horses. Obviously, we spoke a lot about your photography. We touched a little bit on Pilates. Is there anything else that you like to do for fun?
The hot tub.
The hot tub.
I love chilling. Me and my boyfriend just got back they got a holiday home in North Wales, and we did some sunbathing and listening to audiobooks. Well, I listened to audiobooks and he had a proper book. And we've just bought a stand-up board, went down the board. He loves walking. I do not see the point. I'm not your hiking girl. I feel amazing for it afterwards, and I probably would quite like walking with like AirPods and that kind of thing. But yeah, I love the water, like stand-up boards. My dad tried to teach me to surf this summer. I'm not very good, but I enjoyed it. It's a lot of work for the like highlight, which is standing up, which is I'm not very good at. There's quite a lot of paddling involved. But yeah, hot tub, especially with a book. Scrolling through Instagram, that's really sad, isn't it? But I like it. Netflix afternoon. Then I do feel a bit like, oh my god, I've done nothing. And it's so hard, isn't it? Trying to not feel guilty.
Like give yourself the chill time to rejuvenate, but not overdo it.
And not feel like anxious and guilty and being like, you should have done this, you should have ridden your horse, blah blah blah. And yes, I probably should have, but if I don't know, you especially with the mares, I think you've got to be in a good headspace, or you're just not going to enjoy it.
Yeah.
I like to go out for a little hack as well. Obviously, I know we've said beyond the stable, but I think so much of my life is my business, that my horses are my downtime. There's no work really involved. They've never worked so hard, apart from this morning. They were like, oh my god, it started raining, and Mad was like, we don't ride in the rain. Like, what are we doing? But it's nice to try and carve out time to go and see my friends. Obviously, Hannah, and Katie, we all have regularly, at least once a month. Me and Hannah don't cook. We buy food, but we have an evening where we do that. And we either go in the hot tub or we go out and do that. And my friends also got a yard, so I went and took the girls over there and spent the afternoon riding and watching films and that kind of thing. I think making time for people that you love is very important, and also equally taking time for yourself, especially if you're introverted, just to be silent and chill. And especially achy muscles, hot tubs are a godsend. We are very, very lucky to have one. Yeah, love books as well, but that kind of comes into my audiobook situation. Yeah.
Amazing. Do you have any, and you might have covered it all because you have given a lot of advice already, but I just thought I'd give you one last little opportunity. Do you have any advice for anyone who wants to start a business, whether it's equestrian related or not equestrian related? What would your little bit of advice be?
I think about why you want to do it. Is it because someone's got an expectation of you? If it is, don't do it. If it's something you've been thinking, I think that's something that I think about quite often. Is I'm very impulse buy to buy things. I make myself wait, and I think that's probably a very good point with a business. Think about it for a long time, not too long, because that's the other thing. enter the danger there of
never doing it.
And I think that can be quite frustrating if you were to mentor someone. Like, I know there's a lot of people out there like, oh, I'd like to do that, and I'd like to do that. And there also is quite a lot of people out there that will flip from business to business. I think try and really think, is this what I want to do? I love my business because I can do more of one thing and less of another. If I'm going for a phase where I'm like, I want to do more brand shoots, I want to do more people and horses.
What is your favourite brands or people and horses?
People and horses. Because they trust your vision more. Most brands do, but like, and like you have to make sure the clothes are like perfectly fit and all that jazz, which I am good at, but equally it's just something I should think about. I don't know, that's just, it depends on the brand. Like, I love stories, and I think that explains why you think my marketing's good, because I've tried to be as open as possible. And I think the more that people buy from people, and I think the more that you can let people in, it's good. So I think if you're going to start a business, think about, is this something that I really want and enjoy? Is there a way that this can develop further? Like, are there avenues? I can't say I did any of this, but then I was a kid. And I think it just grows naturally, and you think, oh, maybe I could bring that into my business and that kind of thing. Avoid shiny object syndrome. This is probably, now that we've mentioned it, like, what is a really good tip. This is a really, really good tip. Don't be a magpie. Don't think, oh, that looks amazing. And I think that's what can come under with, like, photographing celebrities and that kind of, you know what I mean by celebrities, like influencers and that kind of thing. Like, you can be like, oh, wouldn't it be great to go do a shoot with them? What's the benefit? Do you just want to go meet them and shoot them? If that's fine, go do that, fine. But are you, like, burning the candle at both ends? Like, don't take every shiny object, whether that's in starting a business, about starting a business, or throughout your business. Not everything is for you. That's, like, a huge thing. And, like, listen to your heart. A bit of happy hardcore. I know it sounds woo-woo and that kind of thing, and it won't work for everyone, but it works for me.
Perfect. If I could get a guest on this podcast, who would you like to listen to?
I know what I've got to say, because we've got our little foursome. 3 of us have now
already
done
seen this coming, to be fair.
It's got to be Katie Naish, also known as Katie Lewis 100 with dubs. She has got one hell of a story. I hope she'll open up to you. I can't see why she won't. She talks even more than all of us 3 put together, so good luck. We love that girl to pieces. She has got the kindest heart, an amazing story, and she loves the bones of that horse. I think she would be great. I was trying to think of, like, other people as well, but I can't think of anyone else that you probably aren't already gonna get. No, I think she will make a great podcast guest. You're the host. I am so tired.
You need your nap.
I need my nap. I'm going out tonight, and I need to set. I've
taken all your social battery.
Oh, it's fine. Well, the Rich lesson came after, and I was like, oh, well, I can't say no. Like, I need to do it, and like, it's made me ride all week, and like tidy my yard and stuff. And then I'm photographing a hunter trial tomorrow, so I need to charge batteries. I need to charge my battery as well as my camera batteries and laptop and all that. And then I'm going out tonight.
God, you've had a busy weekend.
Yeah.
Or having a busy weekend.
I think Monday's kind of quiet, but there's always something to do. That's the other thing. If you're thinking about setting up a business, don't.
Make sure you're passionate enough that you can push through the hard bit.
And that's the thing. Like, you know, when you ask me, like, what do you enjoy? I was like, well, I love it all. I love it all. I do. And yeah, get mentoring as well. When you're doing it, have people on your side and on your team. Like, it can be very bloody lonely. And imposter syndrome is always there, and use that to, like, push you. Don't let it stop you in your tracks, because it can do that. I'm very lucky. I've had my mum, and I've got my friends and my mentors. Have people in your corner if you're going to do it, and no, bloody go and do it. Like, more people need to go and do their own business, and the sky's the limit, really. Unfortunately, there's no limit lower, but the sky is the limit. Like, you can do anything if you put your mind to it.
Amazing. Thank you so much. I feel like you've been so inspiring. And I feel like for anyone who's like not even business minded, this will just be inspirational anyway. So thank you so much for coming on as a guest.
I really enjoyed it. It's really nice, and I think what you're doing is fab. And I love my jumper. Go get one.
Thanks. Guys, if you have been watching on YouTube, make sure you're subscribing, liking, commenting, all of that stuff. And if you're over on Spotify, make sure you're leaving us a review. And yeah, oh guys, the weekly episodes are back, so I'll see you next week. Thank you so much for joining. You've been amazing.
Thank you. Bye.